All right, so the next little, I'm going to do these all together, but they don't come together. You can buy them separately, would be the NanoSkin AutoScrub products. I only do the blue version, the fine version, so that's all I offer. Again, I'm only offering what I'm using, so I don't use the, I think it's red, the more aggressive version. But this is the fine version of NanoSkin, or fine grade. So, in other words, the rubber still tends to stick to the box at times. It's kind of gummy when they're new. So first thing I'll mention while we're starting the video here is you want to make sure that you break these in on the glass. It just helps to remove whatever little bit of stuff they put on here to prepare it to use on the paint. Just breaks it in, if you will. So it removes whatever little slickness is on here so it doesn't grab and mar the paint as much. But these are more expensive than clay. But ends up being less costly in the long run because I still have my original block, the one that I bought years ago. I bought it when it first came out. Actually, I bought the pad when it first came out, and then later on these sponges and some of the other products came about. And then the pad here has the little honeycomb fine version. So I think the rubber's a little softer, a little less aggressive than the medium or regular version. There have been other companies that have come out with this, Sonax and others, but CarPro and Optimum and everybody else has come out with some version of this, but I think the original is still better. So, I mean, you're going to pay, what, $50 for this thing, but it's going to last a long time. In fact, I'll pull, here's the original one out of the cabinet. So, I mean, this one is however many years old these have been around. I have it and I've used it a ton. So, I mean, they hold up really well. Just wash it, throw it back in the cabinet, and you're good to go. So, again, same thing here. You want to break this in on the glass. Now, you can use it on your polisher. I don't have a 6-inch pad set up here. Oh, yeah, I do. Here's one. So, you could use it on your polisher. I don't, because I don't think it's more efficient. But you could throw it on here. You run it at speed 1. And you move it around with your NanoSkin Glide, right? So you use your detail spray. So you can do it that way, or this is newer for me since going to Esoteric. I really liked using a hand applicator like so. So for the bulk of the car, I'd been using the sponge for everything. I don't really like this, so this isn't, I don't sell this, but this is a wash pad. I feel like I have a chance to mar more because I'm going to lean into it, and I feel like it doesn't clean as well, doesn't decontaminate as well. So let's say on the hood I'm going to use this, but on the lower sections, the rockers and the lower areas of the car, I'm going to use this, certainly around the mirrors and things like that. And so I have this combination of the two. So I sell each as an option. They both come in the kit, but I would suggest having this combination as well as a clay bar in order to do, step 3 of the decontamination process, where you're touching the paint and you're rubbing out any dirt and trying to lift and grab any embedded contaminants in it in preparation for polish. These will mar the surface, so I wouldn't touch these unless you're going to polish it. So that's the NanoSkin AutoScrub, the sponge, the pad, and the applicator strap. So I still have and use clay often. I think having a clay bar in your kit or in your arsenal is imperative. There are virtues to using the AutoScrub products. There are virtues to clay, and so the consumable or the longevity of a pad is much greater than a piece of clay. You drop this on the ground, you dunk it in your bucket, you're good to go. You drop a piece of this on the ground, you throw it away. So there are some pros. This is faster, less messy, I think. You're going to fling more product around, more glide around, but you're not going to get as much stuff stuck to your hands. And so I don't even get gloves out for this or this, so I'm generally going to glove up because otherwise you get yellow all over your hands. And I've had so many different clay bars over the years, and every time I buy one I think it doesn't matter. I think they're all the same, but they're really not. This is the one I've been using, the Optimum OptiClay, for quite some time now. Theirs just seems to work really well. It's a nice healthy combination. When you get too fine, they get really sticky and they grab and they leave trails behind that you then have to come back and try to get off with a Tarex or something like that. And so, generally with clay, I'm going to take and I'm going to pull off a piece. I'm going to tear a piece off and then I'm going to knead it and work it in. Generally, I'm going to break off a piece. So for my Raptor, I'm probably going to break this into thirds, right? So I want a piece that's, depending on how, what section I'm doing, because again, on my car or on my Raptor or on any vehicle, I'm generally going to take and use this or this for the larger areas. And then if I'm gonna clay the whole car, so if I would probably, with this, I found that what I would do is I would break this into, so I'd tear a third off, and I'd want a piece about this size. So this is what 2/3 of the 1/2 of the clay bar that comes with it. So I'd want this for the mirrors and bumper, and if you're really particular, you could use a small sack piece like this and do the whole, the hood and everything like that. I just prefer to have a little larger piece. So I'd have a piece this big. I'm going to soak it down with Glide, and then I'm going to knead it and sort of break it in, if you will, and then hit the surface with Glide as well. So that's just how I use clay. And again, I would normally wear gloves because this will leave yellow underneath your fingernails and stuff like that. So that's Optimum's Opti Clay, or just call it our clay bar for mechanically decontaminating the paint. So let's first talk about a larger section like right here on the hood. So I'm generally going to soak this entire area down. I don't like this sprayer at all. Make sure my pads, and actually, let me take that back, I haven't broken this in yet. So let's do the windshield first. So you're going to break this in on the glass. I also have to do the same thing. So we could use this and do the entire car this way. But I find that having all three of these, both clay, a disc, and a pad, just works well. These are a little messier from a product perspective, but from a being clean perspective, on my hands and stuff, not getting clay anywhere on the paint, on the glass, on my fingernails, all of that, these AutoScrubs are much better. But you are going to fling all kinds of product all over the place, which doesn't matter because I've got glass, or I've got junk all over the place from washing it. So there goes that. Let's finish the front here. So that's the extent of auto scrubbing. I hate this kind of bottle. So by the time I do this windshield, this thing's broken in and ready to use on the paint. On the glass, I'll use more pressure than I will on the paint. So now our pad is ready to go from a broken in perspective. So let's do the side glass here. And let's hit this with the sponge since we're at it. So I've done many times where I'll just do the whole darn car with one of these. So in my experience, these get 90-95% of what a clay bar is going to get if you do a really good job with clay. Really disappointed. My other Raptor had a matte finish here. Now these got the typical black scratch disaster, so I'm probably going to clear film that. We'll clear film that when I clear film the base of the doors. So now both of our sponges, our sponge and our pad, are broken in. So let's go to the front of the car and talk about the differences in the products. I'm going to come along this little thing here with my bar of clay. Or it would be hard to get anything else under here. Looks like I'm going to need to break out the hybrid to do this little section. Yeah, the clay isn't responding too well to that. Let's see how the... Yeah, this isn't really something you're going to clay. It's grabbing or leaving more residue than anything. Same thing with this here. Yeah, we're not going to mess with that. And then the difference in the sponge. So that, again, the sponge, you can do the whole car, the whole entire truck. But it's just good to have all three of these, depending on what your mood is, what section of the car you're working with. And so I'll have all three of these out as I'm working through the truck, and I'll just grab the piece that I need. We're going to leave all kinds of like little residue from this left over. We're going to rinse the car when we're done, but I usually don't. I'll usually do half of it, rinse it, do the other half, rinse it again, and then let it air dry overnight, which is what I'm going to do with this, because I'm about checked out here. And I still have to clay the entire car, entire truck. I'm going to stop calling it a car. So you can see as I do this with the sponge, it's just not as good. You know, I'm not getting as accurate, I'm not getting every little square inch as well as I would with a little piece of clay. But still, generally this is what I would use the sponge for, all these tight little areas. Plus the clay bar gives more feedback. You know, I can usually feel the contaminants more with a clay bar than I can with this sponge. But again, we're going to be polishing anyway. I'm going to do this fender. As long as I get most of it taken care of, I find that it's not going to cause any problems. But we are marring the surface here. There's no way around it. Hopefully the lubricant using the glide is helping us avoid some of it. But it's an inevitable issue with decontaminating the paint. Just dunk that in my rinse bucket. Finish this fender here. I'm going to rinse off the front end here. See, that's not going to get in there very well. And so that's the process on the mechanical decontamination phase, using either a clay bar or Nanoskin AutoScrub with Nanoskin Glide. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to rinse this front here with some DI water, and I'm going to keep working through. I'm going to hit the side of the truck, the top, and the rest of it, and continue the decontamination process. Come back when to wrap this up. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.